I just got back from watching Longlegs in the theater. Let's talk about it. So Longlegs is the latest film from director Oz Perkins, who directed Greta and Hansel a few years ago and The Black Coat's Daughter, and I think they also directed an episode of the new Twilight Zone. Longlegs follows Agent Lee Harker, who's an FBI agent trying to track down this serial killer named Longlegs, played by Nicolas Cage. She's more adept than a lot of the other agents on the force, especially when it comes to this case, which before she got on the force, and she's kind of a rookie still. She's an agent, but she's still very new. It had pretty much gone cold. There'd be a murder every now and then, but they weren't really able to figure it out, and it had been going on for about 20, 30 years, I believe, by the time we hit the movie. So most of the film takes place in this 90s rural town, backwoods kind of thing, where all these satanic ritual kind of murder things are happening, or sort of led to believe. And Agent Harker, played by Maika Monroe, has this kind of a strange supernatural ability to sense the serial killer and to understand things that, you know, don't come naturally to other people on the force. So the film is very stylized, and you definitely see the director's mark on a lot of the stylistic cinematography choices, which is beautiful. There's like nice, beautiful film grain. There's just some 4x3 shots to kind of mimic old TV. And there's a lot of, you know, you feel a lot of the weird satanic panic stuff that happened in the 80s and late 70s, and that was still going on in the early 90s, and that's kind of where this film finds its focus. So a lot of the film is Agent Harker trying to figure out who Longlegs is, what these codes that he's leaving around actually mean, and hopefully they can find him and bring him to justice. I enjoyed most of the movie. It felt very certain about what it wanted to be stylistically, plot-wise. There was a lot to be desired with this film, though. I felt like maybe they didn't go as far enough as they should have with a lot of the satanic stuff, especially Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. I felt like didn't get to that uncanny place, that strange, terrifying place that I kind of was expecting him to be. A lot of the initial talk around this film made it seem like it was going to be this horrific, brutal kind of film. And I don't think we got that. I think a lot of the stuff we saw here, we've seen in plenty of other things. I mean, there's a lot of True Detective in here. There's X-Files. There's Twin Peaks. It takes from a lot of these FBI agent, government agency types that kind of have this supernatural ability, kind of like an Agent Cooper, to track down this killer, and they understand things more keenly than other people. Not to detract from what this movie is trying to do. It's very much kind of paying homage to those characters, but I just felt like it did not go far enough. There's some choices made here, especially with the plot, that I just wouldn't have done myself. And I think they could have pushed the envelope a little further, go further into the satanic stuff, go into the weird kind of cult stuff. It became kind of just it felt like an episode of X-Files or a True Detective thing. Again, this is very stylistic. It's very much a film, and it feels like a film. And I love the way the film is laid out and constructed, and it pulls you into this world and what Agent Harker is going through and all her kind of traumas and family stuff and dealing with being an agent and the fears that she deals with. But I just felt like things needed to be expanded. And I don't know if that's what was supposed to happen. They dialed things back in this film. It just feels like they weren't allowed to push it further and get kind of weirder with it, which is what I look for a lot in, and that might just be a personal preference. I look for a lot in kind of my thriller, my horror, especially when you're dealing with like supernatural, satanic, occult stuff. I just want you to push the envelope a little bit. Give us something we haven't seen before. We've gotten a lot of this kind of thing. You got to do something a little bit different. That being said, I think a lot of the performances were very compelling. I like a lot of the plot choices in this film. I thought they were interesting. I just felt like a lot of the stuff could be, if you've seen stuff like this, if you've been a fan of True Detective, X-Files, any of these like even more procedural kind of crime dramas, you kind of figure things out a little bit early, which kind of pulls you out of the film a little bit. And that's probably my biggest critique, is that things are very much signaled from the beginning of the film without getting into too much detail. So that kind of was a little disappointing to me, but it is an hour 40 film. It moves very quickly, very good pacing. Again, looks great. There are definitely moments where they made some great stylistic horror thriller kind of choices. Very much reminded me of True Detective, even like an Alan Wake 2. A lot of that kind of stuff felt similar. Again, a lot of David Lynch stuff. There's definitely inspiration coming from a lot of different avenues, but overall, I thought the film was good. I wish there had been a little bit more. I wish they pushed the envelope a little bit further, like a lot of the early talk claimed it did, and I just didn't feel like that was really there. It was probably a lot of the marketing really pushing that narrative. But I do wish it went further. But overall, I did enjoy the film. I probably will watch it again because it felt like a world I wanted to explore a little bit more, and I think it would be a great show also. And I hope they do a little bit more in this world and expand kind of the strangeness that they set up and really, really go for it in the next one. I don't know if they'll do another one, but I feel like there's ideas that they set up and concepts that would be really cool if they explored further on and made it a little bit deeper and darker and stranger, which is what I always want from these kinds of films, like I said. But you don't always get that. They have to make things accessible. They don't want to overdo it for, just for people like me that want it super weird. And I know there's an audience for it, but, it is a business at the end of the day. They need to make money. It has to be receptive to a broader audience. It is a theatrical film. But overall, great film. If you have seen it, let me know what you think. If you're on the fence, let me know why. Maybe we could talk about it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm trying to do more of these reviews. I'm trying to get into the theater the day these movies come out so we could talk about them. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I'll see you soon. Later.